Let's fucking go.
Welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to review Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 1. And Daredevil Born Again has had such an interesting journey to becoming what it is now. As many of you know, the original concept of Daredevil Born Again was not supposed to be connected to the Netflix shows. It wasn't. Like, the original concept for Daredevil Born Again, by all accounts, was going to be a complete, like, soft, quote-unquote, soft reboot. It was going to have allusions to the Netflix shows. It was going to have allusions to things that happened. Like, it was going to, Foggy's death was going to be off-screen. Maybe they would have had, like I said, they would have had allusions to the Netflix shows. Like, Karen, there would have been allusions to Karen. There would have been allusions to Foggy. There'd have been allusions to Stick. There'd have been allusions to the past stuff. But it would have been like, basically, it would have been like, Daredevil is established. Matt Murdock is Daredevil. He's working a new office. Like, the entire setup of the season 1 that happened after the little gap of time where Matt Murdock stops being Daredevil and he's working with Cherry and he's working at this new firm and he's like more of a traditional lawyer, making actual good money, living in an actual great apartment and shit. Like, that was supposed to be the show, the original Daredevil show. So that entire setup of what happens with that gap of time and him being, working, like, that's what it was going to be. And the show was going to be more of a procedural. The original concept for Daredevil Born Again was going to be more of a procedural, of a lawyer procedural show, where Matt goes off and kicks ass and fights the corruption that's happening. And it was going to build up until the last episode was going to be him finally putting the suit on and becoming Daredevil again. And then they were going to go forward. And the whole Wilson Fisk becoming the mayor and Wilson Fisk taking over and creating the task force, all of that was going to happen as well. But it was going to be a lighter tone. It was going to be a lighter tone. It was going to be more of a hard PG-13, and it wasn't going to be as bloody in what it became. But apparently but the show was being made during the strikes, and when the whole thing broke down, and when the strikes happened, everything paused, and Kevin Feige, and as it's been reported as well, Kevin Feige was overextended during this time period. He, basically, things like Secret Invasion, things like Captain America, Brave New World, like certain shows and projects Feige couldn't even look at because he was just working on so much shit. And this was one of those shows. But during the strike, Feige had a chance to look at it. He looked at it. He didn't like the way it was turning out. He thought it was kind of like watering down the character. So they brought on a bunch of people from the old Netflix shows. They retooled season 1. They made him put the Daredevil outfit on much earlier. They puffed things up. They made it a bit more violent. They tried to make it more like the Daredevil, the original Netflix Daredevil show. But unfortunately, there's still a part, like, you can't film that much. This isn't a Buffy the Vampire Slayer situation where they just filmed a pilot and you can just cancel it because you haven't filmed anything. You haven't committed too much to anything. They filmed the entirety of Daredevil Born Again Season 1. But they had months, they had almost a year's worth of time to revamp the thing. But not enough to completely rewrite the thing. But they rewrote certain aspects, changed it up, and we got the original Daredevil Born Again Season 1 that we got a year ago. And I dug Daredevil Born Again Season 1. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. And even the aspects that I saw that they were going for, I was down to see how that whole making it more of a show about Matt Murdock the lawyer was going to turn out. I was curious about it, but clearly, they were trying to have their kind of merge together. Obviously, there's this one episode that's clearly more connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe than any other episode in season 1, which was the episode where Kamala Khan's dad shows up, the bank episode, which I actually had fun with the bank episode. So it kind of made me sad to hear that Charlie Cox actually hated that episode because it was he just thought it was too light and too. But I thought it was nice to see like him use his powers out in different situations outside of just the dramatic, grounded, gritty Daredevil stuff. I'm like, that's cool to see Matt Murdock use his powers outside of a situation like that, which is why I am one of the few people who were like, I wasn't totally against the new direction they were going to go in, at least not totally against it. I was like, I'll be cool seeing it. If it didn't work, it didn't work. But either way, they changed and pivot directions. But everyone said it. Season 2 would be the true pivot because season 2 is where they would have had the time, the money to truly change Daredevil to the direction that they want to go in. And straight off the bat, episode 1, you can already tell is different than the first season, than the first Daredevil Born Again season. It has more of a focus. Daredevil season 1, it probably wasn't until the last couple episodes. Daredevil season 1, it felt like two different tones clashing, because there was two different tones clashing. There was the old Netflix tone that they were trying to weave in, along with the more calmer, you can tell the difference between, because if you go back and look at, and I said this before when I reviewed Daredevil Born Again season 1, if you go back and look at Daredevil, Netflix's Daredevil, there rarely is, the way that the sun is lit is muted. It's more muted colors and whatnot. Whereas if you watch Daredevil Born Again, especially the first few episodes, it is very lit up. It's not like things aren't dark. It's not like things aren't gritty still. It's lit up. You know what I mean? It's lit up. The characters are lit up differently. There's a lightness to it. Even when these characters are doing things and saying things, it's no, this is lit up in a way to make you I don't know. It's lit up like all the other MCU shows. Whereas Daredevil on Netflix is a lot more gritty. And you can tell, even the lighting is different in this season. It's more akin to the Daredevil show from the Netflix series. Although it still is a little lighter, there still is a bit of the Daredevil show from the Netflix, from Born Again season 1 in this, but it's very much more like the Netflix shows. And all I've heard all week is that once you get to episode 3, it's basically one of the best seasons of the Daredevil Netflix shows. So I'm looking forward to that. But as far as episode 1 is concerned, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fucking great. I love seeing the action sequences look even more polished and more worked on, especially that opening action sequence on the boat that sunk. It is very clear that Matt is Matt's on the run. Matt's kind of trying to figure out how he's gonna overcome Wilson Fisk Kingpin, whose task force is going around arresting people and taking advantage of his position as mayor. And there's clearly parallels between Wilson Fisk and his vigilante task force and our current government administration. It's just, you just can't not look at it and see it, dude. It's just right there out in the open, right down to the propaganda, twisting everything that's obviously negative about the man in power to make it sound like either A, it's untrue, or B, downgrade how scary it really, that information about the leader really is. It's very obvious that parallel is there, although it wasn't done on purpose, clearly, because Daredevil Born Again was written before the current administration was even put in charge. So it's just art imitating, art imitating reality type deal. But then again, if you've ever picked up any Marvel or DC comics, they don't have a very good opinion about certain current people in certain powerful positions in our government. And to put it in perspective, Lex Luthor was the modern version of Lex Luthor in many people's eyes was written in very much shades of a certain person, which should tell you about that person, but I'm not here to talk about that. But the show itself, it is very fascinating to see the characters from season 1 evolve. Matt's old Matt's girlfriend from season 1, the psychiatrist, is so traumatized from the events that happened with Muse that she is she is corrupt. Like, she is she sees all vigilantes as Muse. But keep in mind, she was saved by Daredevil, Matt Murdock. She doesn't know he's Matt Murdock, but she was saved by Daredevil. But she doesn't even see that part. She just sees the Muse strangling her part. She lost her power, so now she's doing anything. She lost her power and her confidence, so now she's just doing anything she feels is necessary to get it back, which is both sad and scary. Also, Wilson Fisk, once again, doing a fantastic job. But there's new characters they introduced, like Matthew Lillard's character, who is working for Langley, and he's clearly got connections to Julia Louis-Dreyfus's Fontaine from the Thunderbolts movie, which is very fascinating to see that, like, there's a Thunderbolts connection here, because apparently the government, aka the CIA, have been using Wilson Fisk's port to pretty much illegally bring in guns, because it's a free port and they can pretty much have anyone bring in whatever the fuck they want to without the government being able to say anything about it. And the vibe you get is, and the vibe I've gotten in the show is that one of the questions coming out of season 1 was, how was Wilson Fisk able to do all these things? Pretty much have martial law, create a task force arresting people with no due process. The corruption level of what he's doing as mayor is so insane that it's like, and it's so public, it's like, there's no way he could pull this off without the U.S. government or the governor, someone coming down and saying something about it. But if it turns out that the government is essentially allowing him to do what he's doing to take advantage of the opportunities he's creating with because he's basically making the entire city of New York this like corrupted little thing, and it's like, the government's like, well, we can take advantage of that, and we need to keep this man in power so that we can take advantage of him in power. And it makes a lot more sense why there hasn't been anyone cracking down on him. It makes a lot more sense why no one showed up to try to like stop this, because it's like, okay, this is kind of quietly being okayed by the government, and scary to think about, but honestly, not very surprising. But episode 1 was fun. I love the tone they're going for. I love the fight sequences. Why am I blanking on names? Matt and Karen have finally gotten together, although I'll be honest with you, Karen was never my favorite love interest of Matt Murdock. It's because Elektra is. Elektra is Matt Murdock's love interest. Like, it's not Natasha. It's not, in my opinion, it has always been Elektra. It always will be Elektra. So it's weird. I'm just like, okay, Karen. But whatever. I just can't wait for next week's episode. I would give episode 1 a 9 out of 10. Thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.